Welcome, friends. My name is Chris Bishop. I'm with Heart First Yoga and Wellness. I'm also a teaching fellow of the Mind Tribes Yoga Lab. What I have in mind for today is a 60-minute fire and water yin practice. I'll be telling you more about the yin practice after we begin, but in terms of the fire and water, we're going to be taking yin poses today that promote the flow of energy along the heart meridian, but also along the kidney meridian. What I'm going to be using for props today is sort of standard to my yin practice. I like to have 2 blankets, 2 blocks, and a bolster. I don't have a specific plan for the second blanket today, so if you don't have that, that is okay. If you don't have a bolster, you can substitute with a pillow or 2 from your bed, a couch cushion. If you've got a body pillow, those can make a really nice yoga bolster. If you don't have yoga blocks, I wouldn't recommend this for a very dynamic vinyasa practice. But I feel like for a yin practice, a small stack of paperback books would fill in for a block pretty handily. So we're going to start with a seated position and start with a meditation that I learned from my teacher, Amy Al, called sound healing. So come to a seat that you can sustain. So for most bodies, it's going to be elevating the hips. By sustain, I mean we're going to be here for probably 6 to 8 minutes. So I want to pose that you're not going to be distracted with discomfort or worse than that, pain. So for me, I'm going to sit not just on a bolster, but I'm going to make a couple of little railroad tracks with my blocks and my bolster on top of that. That elevates me nicely. And then think about your posture. Float your head over your shoulders, over your hips. And then when you feel like you've got a neutral alignment, maybe visualize a wall behind your head and shoulders, and press your head and shoulders back into that wall. So we want not exactly a precarious point of balance, but something just short of that. Now, on an inhale, press down into your seat, lengthen and grow out of the crown of your head. And on an exhale, visualize ice cubes melting, like your shoulder blades melt down your back. Right. Anything you want with your hands, you can gently, neatly fold them in your lap. You can place them on your inner thighs or your knees, either palms facing up toward the stars or palms facing down toward the earth. And here, for the sound healing, you can keep your eyes open if you like, maybe with a soft gaze, or you can close down your eyes. Just maintain a comfortable, natural breath. I'll talk more about breathing for the yin practice in a couple of minutes, but for now, let me give you the instructions for the sound healing. So during this practice, I'm going to give you some landmarks in your body. I'm going to ask you to focus your attention on those landmarks. I'm going to ask you to visualize a color as you're focusing on those landmarks in your body. And then I'm going to ask you to join me in making a noise. So start with a cleansing breath. Taking a deep, deep inhale. Hold it at the top. And then open your mouth, audibly sigh it out. Bring your attention to your lower 3 chakras. So think about the area between the base of your pelvic floor up to your navel. Visualize the color red. The sound is ah. Inhale. Shift your focus up to your chest area. Visualize the color green. The sound is E. Inhale. Bring your focus up to your throat. Visualize the color blue. The sound is SOH, S-O-H. Inhale. So. Now imagine the sound vibrations bouncing around inside your entire body in your head. Visualize the colored light. The sound is sun. S-U-M. Inhale. Come back to the natural breath. Gently blink your eyes open, and we're going to make our ways into the first shape for a yin practice. That shape is going to be caterpillar. So this is a seated forward fold. And again, it's 100% okay to elevate your hips. So I'm going to choose to elevate my hips on a block. Extend your legs forward toward the top edge of your mat. And from here, you can relax. So in a vinyasa flow for Paschimottanasana, we would say press through your heels, flex your toes back towards your face, extend forward with a flat back. Here, softness in the knees is fine. And you don't have to flex with the toes. Your toes can drop out to the outside. That is fine. And I'm actually going to use my bolster to support it. So I like the bolster between my chest and the earth. And then I'm going to fold forward, bring my chin down to the bolster. Another option, you can have your thumbs on a bolster or maybe your inner thighs if you're flexing and bending in the waist. And then rest those thumbs on the inside upper edge of your eye sockets. This urinary bladder 2 acupressure point. So my experience with this acupressure point is it feels really good for a while. And then at some point for me it starts to not just stop feeling good, but it starts to feel not good. So when that's the case, for you, know that you are empowered to shift out of that at any point in time. The yin practice, in this practice, we're asked to sit with discomfort. So we're trying to affect changes in the fascia, the webbing of connective tissue that we have from our head to our heel. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. So the sensation that people experience, the target sensation that we're looking for in yin practice, I've heard called an achiness, or a dull bitterness, or a diffuse pressure. Well, if a numerical scale is more helpful for you, if you imagine an amount of sensation on a scale from 0 to 10, where 0 you felt nothing, and 10 would be an excruciating pain, you couldn't bear it, you'd cry out, and you'd be compelled to move. Start with a level of sensation that's at least a 4, no more than a 6. And then once you've reached that target level of sensation, the goal, if we can, is to maintain stillness. My teacher, Amy Out, describes getting into a yin pose in the same way that we would get into a very hot bathtub. So for a very hot bath, we wouldn't just pop right in, we'd burn ourselves. So rather, we tip the big toe in and let the toe acclimate, and then maybe the heel, press the heel into the hot bath. And then eventually it's the whole foot, and the legs, seat, and eventually the whole body is safely, comfortably acclimated and immersed in a very hot bath. So we skillfully get into a yin pose in the exact same way. Right, now check in with your body. Notice the level of sensation you have right now. You can change nothing. Start with a platform of there's nothing wrong with where you are right now. Well, my experience has been when I exercise restraint going into a yin pose and I go in between that 4 to 6 level of sensation, sometimes my body opens up more space and invites me to go deeper into the pose. So if that's happened for you now, the ways I can think of you can do that. You can bring your forehead, your heart closer down toward the earth. You can also, in this shape, just tuck your chin closer in towards your chest. And that should light up and add sensation all along the back body, from the seat all the way up to the back of the head.
understand that when I get greedy in the level of sensation, so for example, the yin versions of poses often have vinyasa counterparts. In vinyasa, we hold it for maybe 5 breaths. So if I get greedy and I go in at a level of sensation of an 8 or a 9, very, very quickly, when we're sitting in a static position holding it, that will spike up to a 10 for me. It's not sustainable. So we're looking for that target level of 4 to 6, and always there will be an opportunity for us to go deeper into the pose. There's no special breath that's necessary or required, just a comfortable, natural breath is fine for your yin practice. Although if you are accustomed to an ujjayi breath from the vinyasa practice, I find a light ujjayi can be a very nice focal point for me. Slowly, with control, start to lift yourself up out of this shape, floating vertebra above vertebra.
And then if you've elevated your seat, come on off that elevated seat. Leave your right hip down on the earth and bring your right shin parallel to the top edge of your mat. Opportunities to move here in a couple minutes if this is not good for you. Left shin close to parallel with the left edge of your mat. And again, you don't have to flex those toes, you can relax. And for now, just sit here. We're in a deer pose right now. We're going to take a variation in a minute. So consider here the sense of your left hip melting down toward the earth, gravity drawing it down toward the earth. It's never going to come all the way down. It's okay. That's not the goal. We're focusing on that sensation of it gradually, perhaps growing closer down toward the earth. So for seasoned yogis who have an established vinyasa practice, and then after that's established, they come to their first yin class. Sometimes the changes in the alignment cues are shocking, and people are concerned about getting injured. It just seems so loosey-goosey. I remember when I first started my yoga practice, my first real live in-person yin teacher, Kristen. I was left the class thinking Kristen is so nice, and she is nice. But then I took one of her vinyasa flow classes. I was like, wow, what did I do to her? Because we go from being encouraged to relax everywhere. There's sort of in vinyasa flow, the alignment cues are fairly rigid, right? Like we say things like press through your heels, flex your toes back towards your face. The reason for the difference, in the vinyasa practice, we're moving often quickly through dynamic shapes. And in certain parts of the body, we have to maintain muscular engagement to avoid injuring ourselves. But in this yin practice, the goals and the objective are very different, and we're not moving quickly through dynamic shapes. Rather, we're holding these static shapes for a long time. Now check in with your body. Notice the level of sensation you have right now. You can change nothing. Changing nothing is often the right option. Or, option to walk your hands off to the right and start lowering yourself down onto your hands, your forearms, your blocks. I'm going to have a bolster under my chest and a block under my forearm. You could also place here another block, maybe on top of the bolster, to rest my forehead here as well. And then if you've chosen to move and add some sensation to this, stabilize now, start to approach stillness again. So when we get to the yin practice, if we approach it in the same way that we approach the vinyasa flow alignment cues, not only are those not necessary, that kind of muscular engagement is not necessary to protect ourselves, it's also counterproductive to our goal of relaxing and letting time and gravity draw our connective tissue down toward the earth.
we reach our target level of sensations, that, we're really, as I mentioned, trying to find stillness. So the times where it's appropriate to move, if your sensation goes above that level of 6, it crosses that threshold from discomfort into pain, we should move. Certainly if the pain is a burning sensation or something very sharp, we should move. That is not the practice. But anytime our body asks for a little bit more sensation, or we'd like to go deeper into the pose, that's always a nice reason for us to move and shift a little deeper into the pose as well. I'm unconcerned about how this looks like, what this pose looks like for you, right? I'm concerned for me, and I'm unconcerned for you. My body is not super flexy and bending, right? Yours may be. If that is, I think that's wonderful. But if yours isn't, that's okay. This practice is still for you. It's for us too, friends. If you fold it forward, so maybe forward over your right shin, or you come off in this twisted version, start to lift yourself up, unwind, maybe start staging your props for where you may need them the next time around. And then we're going to set up for the other side. So this time, left hip down on the earth, left shin fairly close to parallel to the front edge of your mat, right shin close to the parallel to the right edge of your mat, and for now, just stay right here. Right, and if you notice like a significant difference in range of motion or flexibility from one side to the other, that's super common, that's okay. So I had a total hip replacement about 3 months ago, so I had significantly less range of motion on this left hip. That's okay, that's not unusual. This practice is still for us. So it's raining in Houston today. Tuesday night, I walked out into the driveway of my girlfriend's house. It was clear and beautiful, and the moon was shining fully. It was glorious. It was lighting up not just the sky, but the whole landscape was illuminated by this full moon. And the moon is powerful. It influences the tides. It influences the Earth's position in space. People all over the Earth have a folklore about the moon, particularly the full moon, right, and its power. What I thought about mostly was 2 weeks from now, no one is going to be talking about the new moon, right? When the phase of the moon has changed, nobody's going to step out of the driveway and go, God, look at that new moon, it's glorious. Because they won't be able to see it. They'll step out of the driveway and say, my God, it's dark. Check in with your body. Notice the level of sensation. There's nothing wrong with where you are right now. Gravity is traction, that right hip down toward the earth. You have the option, if you choose, to start walking your hands over to your left. Your torso over to the left. You can sit right here. You could fold over that left shin in front of you. Or you can come down, bring your heart down, to a block, a bolster, or maybe for your body verb. Right? And notice the gentle traction and force of gravity drawing that right hip down toward the earth. Right, so 2 weeks from now, no one is going to notice the new moon. They're going to say, oh my God, it's dark. Well, here's the thing. The moon is still influencing the tides. The moon is still influencing Earth's position in space. The moon will still be feared and revered by by people from every populated continent on the planet. The moon's not dependent on the sun to be glorious. It's just easier to see. That's important to remember. Because it's easy when we're the full moon. Right? So when you ace the job interview, you got the promotion at work, you get the community back. And everything that you say and do comes out fully with the intention in which you put it into the world. Right? But what about when we're, it's easy at those times when we're in a full moon to see that we're glorious, right? Because we're influencing the people in our community, we're serving our friends and family, we're doing these kind little gestures to people every day that we don't even think about, that are making their world a better place. Start to lift yourself up out of the shape.
And however you want to get there, where I'd like for you to go next is any resting position on your belly. So I'll show you a couple of options that I like. You could do a belly shavasana with your hands down by your waist, palms facing the sky, resting one cheek on the mat, or maybe like a half frog position, so you can bring your arms up front, goal post your arms, so a 90-degree bend, ruffling your elbows, and lift the knee on the same side that your chin is turned. And find some rest here. But I feel like it's easy for us to forget how glorious we are when we're in a new moon phase. What does that look like? It looks like so many things. Maybe we're not successful in our marriage. Maybe we go through a divorce. Or we don't get the promotion that we've been working our entire career for. Or maybe we get terminated from a position. When everything that we say and do seems to be misunderstood, the people that we counted on to support us weren't there at the time that we really needed the most. Everything just comes hard. Everything is just coming hard, right? So those new moon moments, it's important to remember we're still positively impacting our families and our communities. We're still doing these kind of acts every day that nobody notices and we don't even think about, but are making the world a better place for people. All those things are still true for us. We're not dependent on the light of the sun to be glorious. We are just easier to see. So if you chose the half frog version, go ahead and lower your lifted knee back in line, and then make your way into a Sphinx pose. So float your shoulders over your elbows, and initially take this maybe like you would in Vinyasa flow. So what does that look like? Pressing down into the tops of your feet, pressing into your elbows, lifting out of the shoulders, not pressing into the hands, but tractioning into the hands, drawing the heart forward, soften your belly. Now, here, because this is not vinyasa, this is yin, you could, and what I would like you to do rather, is everything from your tailbone, your lower back down to your heels relax. So maybe your heels roll to the outside or the inside, that's okay. In anything that's not required, in here, mostly it's going to be body mechanics that keeps your shoulders floating, your elbows. Everything else can relax. Right? It might be nice to bring a block down under your forehead to rest your forehead on. Or gravity can just draw your forehead down toward your, if you soften the shoulders a little bit here, that's okay in the shape. Right, so I'm super type A, so I'm offering this for other super type A yogis out there. If you find yourself constantly drawing your heart forward here, flip your palms up toward the stars. And when I do that, it's easier for me to relax and not continually try to drag myself forward, to remember to relax. You are worth it, friend, so am I. We are so hard on ourselves. We are so quick to jump to conclusions and judge ourselves. What happens? What can open up for us if we recognize His glory, even when we're not illuminated by the light of the sun?
on, notice the level of sensation we have right now. Again, you can change nothing. If you're in that range of, on your scale of sensation from 4 to 6, maybe you should change them. But if you've opened up more space, your body's asking for more. Turn your palms down to face the earth. Press down into your palms. Let your elbows lift up. For me, my shoulders are tight and tweaky, so I take my hands wider, turn the fingers out to the outside edges. And then if your body's asking for even more sensation, walk the heels of your hands closer in towards your waist. Now, notice what happens in the rest of your body here. So there is a tendency for me here to clench up everything from my booty down to the heels re-engages. So just check in with your body, and if that happened for you, if that's what your experience looks like right now, can you relax everything from your lower back down to your heels? Right? This is more of a yang element in this yin pose right here. There will be some muscular engagement required to maintain this. But anything you don't need, can you let that go? Maybe lowering your forehead down toward you. I think rest on the block again here as well. And notice, did you clench up in your jaw or your forehead if you chose to add more sensation to this pose? If that's the case, maybe on a soft exhale, see if you can relax that and let that go. You chose to press down into your palms, lower back down into a sphinx position, and then grab a block or that small stack of paperback books. It might be nice to have that under your forehead. So the cueing for this could be a little bit screwy. This is a new shape for you. But slide the palm of your left hand forward enough that your left elbow lifts up off the earth. You got a space under here. Thread your right arm across the front plane of your body. And then walk, palm facing the sky, walk the fingers of your right hand further to the left. Now, cross your left arm in front of your right arm, palm faces the sky, walk the fingers of your left hand further over past the right hand edge of your mat. You may be getting all the sensation you could possibly want for your shoulders here, but otherwise, if you've still got some space before you're at that range of 4 to 6, tuck your toes under your feet, rock the crown of your head forward, and it might be nice to rest your forehead on the block, but otherwise you can let your forehead dangle down toward the earth. And then once you're in the shape, I feel my shoulder blades spreading apart here, just by the force of gravity. So there's no real muscular engagement necessary for me to maintain my shape. Everything else, can you relax it down toward the earth? And just let time and gravity do their job here. So we don't often stretch our shoulders in this way, so for some bodies a lot of sensation here. So you may choose to change nothing, but check in with your body, notice the level of sensation, and if you wanted to add sensation, all you have to do at any time, tuck your toes under your feet, walk the crown of your head further forward. Tuck your toes under your feet. Draw your heels back toward the back edge of your mat, which should take some of the tension out of the shape. Left palm forward, press into that palm. Withdraw your right arm. Come back to Sphinx with your right arm, Sphinx with your left arm. And now, palm your right hand forward. Nice space under that left right elbow. Slide your left arm across the front plane of your body. Palm toward the sky. Stretch those fingers of your left hand further out to the right. Cross your right arm over your left. Stretch those fingers out to the left. And then tuck your toes if it's appropriate for your body. Rock the crown of your head forward. If you've gotten out of your body and into your head, if you're escaping the sensation, come back. So that level of discomfort can be a very nice focal point for present moment awareness. So as appropriate for you, change nothing, or tuck your toes under your feet, rock the crown of your head further forward. Right, so I always say that yin practice is the most courageous of all the yoga practices. And the truth is, I find any yoga practice to be courageous. So it's going to sound like I'm beating up on vinyasa flow. I love vinyasa. I practice vinyasa every day. But I feel like in my vinyasa practice, if I choose to, I can hide from my thoughts, emotions, anything that comes up for me in the movement. I just move a little bit faster. Right? Add intensity. When we're in these yin shapes and we're holding them for a long time, there is no hiding. They come up for us, and we have the opportunity, we're invited to sit with them. So just the act of rolling out your mat for a yin practice is an act of courage. It's beautiful. Tuck your toes under your feet. Roll your heels back toward the back edge of your mat. Unwind your right arm. Press into that palm. Sphinx with your left arm. Sphinx with your right arm. And then lower your chest down to the earth. Hands under your shoulders. Come up into a tabletop position. And again, I like to have a couple of blocks handy for where we're heading here. But from tabletop, step your right foot forward to the outside of your right hand. And maybe use the toes on your left leg. Walk that left knee back behind you. Option to, so on that left leg, I'm on that left knee, and I'm choosing to press the top of my left foot down into the earth. You can tuck the toes on that left foot and come up on the ball of that foot as well. And from here, feel for a lengthening all along the inside of that left leg, up through the hip flexor, but also an opening along the front plane of the body. And you can come to any level of sensation. So option here, right away, you could lower your heart down toward the earth. But for me, I'm getting more lengthening if I keep myself elevated a little bit here. So war stories from yoga teacher training. When I went through my 200-hour training, one of the requirements of the studio was called the business of yoga, right? And it was 4 hours working at the front desk of the studio. And there's all things that I love to do. It was answering the phone, providing information, greeting clients, getting people towels, helping people check in, retail sales, all ways that I really love serving people. And I was also spending the day with the studio manager who I loved. So it was a really nice day for me. There was a point for about 15 minutes where the studio owner, who had been my yoga teacher for years, and also trained me to teach yoga to other people, so she's a mentor as well. Also a friend, someone I love a lot. She came out front and was with us. And during that time, we had a client come in where I tried with good intention to help, and I came on way, way too strong. Check in with your body. Notice the level of sensation you have right now. You can change nothing.
You could lower your hands, your forearms from blocks down to the earth. You could also place your left hand down to the earth, turn your right toes out to the right, leave the sole of that foot on the earth, but take your right hand and press it into the inside of your right thigh and find a twisted dragon shape. Continuing to let gravity draw your hips down toward the earth. All right, so I came on way too strong with this client. And it wasn't the sort of thing where somebody would be complaining or be really uncomfortable. It was just clear that I was trying too hard. So the client got checked in, we got her checked in, she went into the studio space to practice. And I told this little joke about myself in the way that I sometimes do. And I said, my name's Chris, I try too hard with people. And Grace looked at me and she said, Chris, that's your charm. That is just part of your charm. And I didn't know what to do with it at the time. But I started thinking about sedimentary rock under the surface of the earth and how that rock is subjected to heat and these twisting pressures. If it's heated enough and twisted enough, it starts to melt and torque, right? And create these really weird shapes. So now it's no longer sedimentary rock, it's metamorphic rock. And it cools and it makes its way toward the surface of the earth, and people harvest it and they cut it into slabs and polish it. And it becomes the most beautiful marble flooring you've ever seen. Marble is considered beautiful because of its flaws, not in spite of it. What if it's the same with us? What if the very same things about ourselves that we want to apologize for are our quirks, right? Are the charms and the things that help the people in our lives to love us the most? What if they're the exact same things? You chose a twisted dragon shape. Start to make your way back into center. And then come back into a tabletop position. And if you want to take a moment in a counter pose, it might be nice to stretch either your right or your left leg out behind you, or circle that hip up. But eventually come back to tabletop, walk your left foot forward on the outside of your left hand, maybe walk your right knee back behind you and find this dragon shape on the second side. And so maybe these things that we consider to be flaws were cleverly designed into us to allow the people in our lives to love us the most. What if those are the things, what if you could find out those were the things that people would miss when you were gone? And I'm not suggesting what if there was some crossover, right? What if they're the exact same things? If you could accept that, what would that change about the way that you viewed yourself? Marble is considered beautiful, not in spite of its flaws, but because of it. I believe it's the same with us. Check in with your body. Notice the level of sensation. You can change nothing. You can lower your heart, your chest, your head closer down toward the earth. Or you can open those toes up on the left-hand side. Place your left hand on the inside of your left inner thigh. Maybe let your gaze up over your left shoulder. But maybe even release and relax your neck. Let gravity draw it down toward the earth. So the twisted dragon for me doesn't feel so good on this side. So I'm going to come back to a regular convention dragon. No adjustments from when we started. So if you chose a twisted dragon, start to bring yourself back to center. And then everyone start to come back into your tabletop position, whatever it looks like getting in. And then hands under your
your shoulders, slowly with control, lower yourself down onto your belly. Any resting pose on your belly. Belly Shavasana, or if you took half frog on one side, you can take that same shape, but just turn your chin to the opposite direction, lift the opposite knee. Start to lift yourself up. So if you took half frog, bring your lifted knee back down in line with the second knee, hands under your shoulders, press up onto your knees, and then bring your left elbow and your left forearm down so they parallel the left edge of your mat. Walk your body out in the opposite direction. Place a bend both in your right and your left knee. Float your left shoulder over your left elbow. And then extend your right leg forward. Maybe the sole of your right foot comes parallel to the right hand edge of your mat. Mine's not going to make that. That's okay. And you can stay right here. You can place your right hand back behind your back, or catch your right foot or your right ankle, left foot or your left ankle in your right hand, and then lower that foot back down here. Feel for lengthening along your left side body. So we want kind of like a canopy effect with the ribs here. So if you visualize what the canopy, maybe if you've ever been to the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion in the Woodlands to watch a show, all the places where the canopy isn't being supported by the wooden frame, the canopy tends and drapes down toward the earth. So we want the same effect. Also, I should mention slumping in that left shoulder here is okay. So the purpose of that left foot being in the right hand is to fold and open that right shoulder back behind you. So we're going to have an opportunity to change here in a second, which could accentuate that for you. So you can stay right here, or for just a moment, bring your right hand down to support you. Walk your left forearm forward so you come down onto your left shoulder, and then you can either reach your arm back behind your back, or you can take that left foot in your right hand again. Can you fold your heart open toward the stars? Maybe support the back of your head on a block here would be nice too. So I mentioned that the sensation of practice where we're asked to sit with discomfort, from my perspective, is ideal for us to practice mindfulness. So when, not if, but when your thoughts start to arise, if you've got that level of sensation, that range of 4 to 6, which is a bit uncomfortable, you can keep coming back to that discomfort. Gently label that with your mind. Maybe you don't have to push the thoughts away forcibly. If you just allow those thoughts to drift away. Over and over, as many times as that comes up. Gil Fronsdale from the Insight Meditation Center in Redwood City, California says that in a seated meditation, mindfulness meditation practice, if we've been in a seated practice for 30-minute practice, and we've been doing it for 29 minutes, 45 seconds, And we've been lost in racing thoughts the whole time. If at 29 minutes, 45 seconds, we recognize what our mind is doing and we gently let go of thinking. When we come back to the present moment, the meditation works. What a beautiful perspective on staying in the moment. Now gently release that left foot. Roll yourself back. I'm going to peel that right leg back, a little bend in my knees. Roll forward and then press myself up. And we're going to take the same shape on the other side. So if you've got any props that are going to get in the way, that you can gently slide those out of the way. And then right elbow and right forearm parallel to the right hand edge of your mat. Your right shoulder floating over your right elbow. A bend in both knees, and those knees at a fairly straight angle out from your body. Step that left leg forward, the sole of that left foot coming closer to parallel to the top edge of your mat. Maybe catch your right foot or your right ankle in your left hand. And then fold that left shoulder back behind you. Right, for me, it doesn't feel great to let my neck crank back like here. So you can either drop your right ear towards your right shoulder, or even better deal for me, to start to fold that chin down toward the right shoulder. So we want something that we can sustain here. Feel for a tenting sensation on the ribs on the right hand side, gently lengthening apart. And you stay right here, there's nothing wrong with where you are now. Or bring your left hand forward to support yourself, long enough to slide that left forearm forward, left shoulder coming down onto the earth. Maybe catch that right foot in your left hand, and maybe not. And then fold your heart back, maybe support your head on a block. So I'm calling this pose Fallen Sphinx, but the truth is, I saw this in a Tiffany Cruikshank class, and this is one that she did. She didn't offer a name for it. But I thought it was an inspired shape for the hips and for the lower back. You've got that right foot in your left hand, release that, and fold that left shoulder back into center, put a bend back in your left knee, slowly guide your way up, and make your way into a tabletop position, facing the top edge of your mat. And if you've got blocks or a couple of stacks of paperback books, it might be nice to have those close to the top edge of your mat. From your tabletop, we're going to go into Anahatanasana, puppy dog pose. So in this shape, the goal is leave your hips stacked over your knees. Sometimes it might come forward a little bit, so that's okay if that happens. But the goal is hips over the knees. Walk your hands, one handprint forward, a second handprint forward, a third handprint forward. Because my shoulders are tweaky, I'm going to go wide with my hands and turn my fingers to the outside. And let gravity draw my forehead and my heart down toward the earth. Another option right away here would sensation a little bit is place a block under your forehead. Check in with your body. Notice the level of sensation you have right now. Again, reminder, nothing wrong with where you are right now. So if you've opened up more space, anything you do to bring your head and your heart closer down to the earth will add sensation.
So one option is to take blocks out nice and wide. I'm not going to stay here, but just to demo,
Hands on the blocks, and then lower your heart and your head down toward the earth. And then can you relax in the elbows?
so for right now, that's more sensation than I'm going to want.
But that's an option that could be available for you. Notice, are you clenching or gripping anywhere that's not, where it's not, you don't need muscular engagement in order to maintain the shape? And anywhere there, I would say right now for our purposes is not serving you, so can you let that go? I'm going to start to bring you out of the shape. Before you move, the most gentle way that I found is to rock the crown of my head forward onto my belly. And then slide your hands under your shoulders.
Make your way into your final resting shape for your practice, your Shavasana. Now, we often get cued for Shavasana like there's only a couple of ways to do it, but there are a multitude of options that you have. You can take legs up the wall. If you've got a bolster, you've got a cushion for your couch, that propped up under your knees can be really nice. Take Shavasana on your belly. Two more options that I'm going to show you. One that I've been doing a lot, constructed rest pose. So bending my knees, feet out nice and wide. Knees come to rest on one another, or place a block under your sacrum, leave the soles of your feet down on the earth. Now from any arrangement, you can have the backs of your hands down on your floor, or down by your waist, out to the side, diagonal, over your head, or hands on your torso, palms facing down, maybe at the bottom of your rib cage. I find that really helps me to relax in the shoulders. So whichever version of Shavasana speaks to you, that's the one you should choose for today. Well, find a shape that allows you to fully relax. You would walk the warrior's path for the last hour. And here, in this shape, our only task, the only thing that is asked of us is that we surrender to our mouth. Place your focus and your attention on your left thumb. And let it relax. index finger, middle finger, ring finger. Relax the pinky finger on your left hand and your left wrist, your left elbow. Imagine your left shoulder relaxing so much that it can melt down into your mouth. Relax your right thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger. Allow the pinky finger on your right hand to relax, and then follow that by relaxing your right wrist, your right elbow, your right shoulder melts down into your mouth. Both of your arms are now completely relaxed, they're not moving. Relax the big toe on your left foot. Second toe. Middle toe. Fourth toe. Allow the pinky toe on your left foot to relax, and then relax your left ankle, your left knee. Your left hip melts down into your mat. Relax the big toe on your right foot. Second toe. Middle toe. Fourth toe. Relax the pinky toe on your right foot, and your right ankle, your right knee. Your right hip melts down and settles into place precisely next to your mouth. Imagine a wave of relaxation that starts at the base of your pelvic floor, goes all the way up to your sternum, and relax your chest. Let your whole mouth relax, your upper lip, your lower lip, your jaws, your tongue, all relax. Relax your eyelids, relax your eyeballs, and imagine that even the sockets of your eyes can relax a little bit more. Relax your forehead. Let any wrinkles or strain or concern ease out of your forehead. And then relax even in the crown of your head. Imagine that your whole body was so relaxed that you melt down through your mat, melt down through your floor, and come to rest upon the earth that supports us all. Swallow 2 or 3 times. And then start to bring your body back to life after this time of rest by drawing some deeper breaths. You can stay right here. You can change nothing. Maintain stillness. You have the option to start to reanimate your body with small movements, perhaps wiggling your fingers and your toes, but gently drawing your chin from shoulder to shoulder. Option to take some larger movements now, maybe rotating the hands at the wrists, your feet at the ankles. Or if it would feel good to you to take a full body stretch, reach your arms all the way up over your head, maybe stretching well past the back edge of your mat, pointing through your toes, reaching forward, maybe well past the top edge of your mat. And then one leg at a time, draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice squeeze. Recognize and honor yourself for your devotion to your practice, your courage for showing up on your mat today, and your hard work. Then roll on to either side into a fetal position, a child's sleeping pose. Press yourself up into a seated position with your legs crossed, your eyes closed, thumbs at your sternum, hands at heart center, facing the top edge of your mouth. Thank you, sisters and brothers, for allowing me to serve you today. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you know peace. And may you always recognize your glory, whether you're in the full moon phase or the new moon phase. Draw your thumbs up to your Ajna chakra, your third eye center. Blessings to you and your families, my friends. concludes our practice for today. Thanks for joining me. Greetings to you and your families from Sugar Land, Texas, and I hope you have an amazing